If the problem is not clearly identified at the beginning of the process, then that can sometimes lead to misplaced burdens on stakeholders in dealing with that problem.
A poorly identified policy problem is a real trap for regulators. There are a number of things that really can flow if you don't identify the problem in the right way. Firstly, you're not going to find the right solution, given that you haven't identified the problem correctly. Secondly, there may be unintended consequences and costs that flow on to mums and dads, for example, because you're imposing regulatory burdens. And finally, you might undermine confidence in the broader market because people are wondering, well, what's going on? Why are people doing this?
It's really important to make sure that we understand what is the problem that we're trying to fix, because obviously we can't then come up with the right solution. And if we're not sure about what the problem is, we also run the risk of coming up with a solution that has a whole pile of costs for different people, including the government, but also business and people in the community, that isn't necessarily a cost that should be borne because it's not actually solving the problem we're trying to fix.
Sometimes a lot of effort and expense is spent on a policy option and it just doesn't work. An example might be disclosure. Often regulators think just giving people more information will help them make decisions in complex markets. Maybe that's insurance, maybe that's in credit. But they don't think that people don't necessarily understand the information they're given, and so just giving people more information isn't going to help. Most recently, the government has introduced key facts sheets to the insurance market with the idea that people, if they've got a very simple one-page overview of their insurance policy, then that will help them choose insurance products. The problem is these key fact sheets are hidden. They're hidden on websites, they're not given to you at the point where you're shopping around, and therefore they're not much use.
It's really important, and this is where a regulatory impact statement can help, in identifying what policy problem you're trying to address, especially by regulation. If you address the wrong problem, or if you haven't clearly identified the problem, you often then can come up with regulatory approaches that may not address the problem at all. You may actually not, for example, improve safety of a group of medicines if you haven't actually addressed what the problem is with those medicines. Maybe it's that the medicines are being used not according to how they've been prescribed. And the medicines themselves might be perfectly appropriate if they're used as they're prescribed. And so it's important also for regulators then not to work in isolation, say from clinical practice in this case, from the doctors who are prescribing the medicines and the pharmacists who are dispensing them.